So in this video, I'm going to be going over my new diet for 2022. So I've recently made adjustments to it. This isn't a New Year's resolution or any of that nonsense. This is just the same grind year in and year out I've been doing for the past several years. But basically I've decided it's pointless to continue cutting. I'm probably around 12% body fat right now. Now, I mean, I could go to 10 and even lower, but there's no point since I'm not really going to get much time for the beach anyway, and I've kind of outgrown the whole flex on the gram and Snapchat thing, for now at least. And obviously it's just beneficial to put on more muscle overall, because I'm not anywhere near as big as I hoped I'd be about 7 odd years into lifting. I look like I've been lifting for maybe 3. So I think a lot of that comes down to, well, there's been a bit of problems over the years with just incorrect training and changing life priorities and cutting too hard and not prioritizing gym and all that stuff. Point is, I need a new bulking diet. So for breakfast, we've got 100 grams of rice bubbles and 300 mils of full cream milk. Now, in years past, my breakfast would have been Weebix, just because I can see all the juicy B vitamins that are on the nutritional label. It's got iron too, but it's non-Haem iron. I'll elaborate in another video, but basically Haem-Iron is from animals and that's more absorbed in your body, and non-Haem iron is from non-animal sources, usually plants. And usually plants have technically higher protein, but because it's non-Haem iron, it's not as absorbed. So technically animals have more iron. But the reason I have rice bubbles is because rice, well, specifically white rice, is a lot more easily absorbed in your system and used for energy. That's a really basic principle behind it, but if you need further proof, I'll elaborate eventually in another video. But Stan Efferding, watch one of his Rhinos rants. It's called Training Your Metabolism. It's a long video, but it's a very good watch. I'll link it here. But basically, I can't remember off the top of my head, but about 84 or 89% of rice bubbles is actually white rice itself, which is plenty enough for me. It was something like 50%, I wouldn't touch the thing. But yeah, it's essentially rice, but I get to have it with milk. Yeah, that's why I don't just have rice in general, because it doesn't take too long to cook, but rice bubbles takes no time at all, and I don't want to be getting up an extra 10 minutes earlier every morning to cook rice, because I need all the sleep I can get. And then I've got 300 mils of full cream milk, because that tends to fill the bowl. And it's full cream milk because calories, and also full cream milk has all the growth factors and peptides in it that have been shown in some studies to build muscle. Admittedly, there's limited research on this. I think it's more a bro science thing, but I have noticed in years past, in my bulks where I've consumed more milk, calories being equal, I tend to have grown a bit more. I'll link another video from Eric Bugenhagen where he talks about milk. I think he mentioned it towards the end of the video, but either way, it's a good video. Give it a watch as well. The next meal I'll have is tuna and a potato salad. 1 can of tuna and a potato salad. So on the first 15-minute break I get from my retail gig, I'll have this, and at my first 10-15 minute break I get from my office gig, I'll have this as well. So it'll just be 1 can of tuna and 200 grams of potato salad. So the reason it's potato salad and not another carb source is because potatoes quite high in potassium, and once again, potato salad's always done with white potatoes. It's not really done with sweet potato or anything, because it's in that same video I mentioned before about Stan Efferding and his Training Your Metabolism video. White potatoes in small quantities are a good carb source. I have sweet potatoes later in the day, as you'll see, But basically, it's a nice little carb source. I guess you could use pasta as well, but I just prefer potatoes because of the extra potassium. And the reason I don't use sweet potato here is because 1, they make no sweet potato salad, at least not where I'm from. 2, I have sweet potato later. 3, I'd have to cook more sweet potato, and I already do enough cooking as it is. 4, I don't really need any more vitamin A. Now, vitamin A, it's kind of hard to overdose on it. The studies show it's quite hard. That's not really what I'm also worried about. That was just kind of a random point I just threw in for no reason. I'm going to leave this in anyway. And reason 5 is because I just want to. It'll also break up the monotony of the diet too. If you have the same thing, like I have the same thing pretty much every day, but because they're all quite varied, it keeps it interesting. Now, in that same video from Stan Efferding, he does mention how he believes that multiple protein sources can confuse and overload your system. Probably true for someone his size, but when you're a small little boy like me, I don't really have to worry too much about that. I'm talking about carbs, not protein. So yeah, the main reason is just because I want to. It's also relatively cheap. I'm pretty sure a 800-gram pack of potato salad that they sell at my work, it goes for $6. I think that works out to be like 83 cents per 100 grams. I think that's a pretty sweet deal. As for the tuna, obviously a high quality protein source, and then you got your omegas and whatnot too. Now, I used to have tubs of YoPro yogurt. Now, they have the same amount of protein, like one can of tuna and 1 tub of YoPro yogurt. If you get Springwater tuna actually has less calories. Now, YoPro yogurt, those little 160-gram tubs, they've got about 8 grams of carbs, which is really nothing, but the Springwater tuna has 0. If you get tuna in like olive oil or the smoked version, it's got like 7 grams of fat, so it would have more calories, but that's not really playing into why I've switched. The reason I've switched is because the YoPro yogurt is more expensive. When they're not on sale, those YoPro tub yogurt thingos are $2.40 each. Now, you could buy one of those bulk ones, but they don't actually sell them at my store, and it's honestly inconvenient to go to another store and grab it based on where I live. So those little tubs are $2.40 when they're not on special, and if they do go on special, they usually only drop to like $1.70. And you can't really stockpile them because 1, you run out of room in the fridge, and 2, they run out of use by date, like they expire quicker. Whereas tuna doesn't really expire, does it? And when tuna goes on sale, it tends to go on sale for like $1. I think tuna is about $2 a can, so it's already cheaper for the same grams of protein, and it's comparable quality. It might be a bit higher, but the point is, this is more so a budgetary reason, a budget-related reason, whatever you want to call it. But tuna is cheaper than the YoPro yogurt that I used to have, and plus I get enough calcium anyway. And as you'll see later, it's actually cheaper to just buy milk and drink that. But I'll get to that when I get to that. So, lunchtime. I'll have 150 grams of kangaroo. Now, they sell these little patty things at the supermarket I work at and every other supermarket as well. It's not just an exclusive thing to my store. And it's about $6.80 for a packet of 4 patties. I don't know what they've done. The ingredients are on the packet, but I can't figure out which ingredient it is that makes it taste good. Because I've had kangaroo mince before, which is just pure kangaroo ground up, and it tastes like crap. Now, yeah, I could learn how to cook and, do that stuff myself, but I cook it on the barbecue, which is a lot more efficient for me, as opposed to using a fry pan over a stove or whatever to cook the mince. I'm bringing up irrelevant points here. 2 of those patties the cooked weight works out to be about 150 grams. So with 4 patties in a pack, that's obviously 2 servings of lunch for $6.80, which is a little bit expensive, but in terms of protein, that's pretty cheap. I honestly think the protein recommendations for 50 grams, not only are they outdated and wrong, but I believe that the reason they were that low in the first place was because back then they had to put some sort of, they had to account for the, I guess, income of people at the time. They didn't want people go out and spending so much money to get their protein needs, because you know the general public, they'd freak out if they hear the recommendation is 120 grams. Oh crap, I don't have enough, I better go and buy it. Oh crap, I can't afford it. Because obviously protein is the most expensive macronutrient by far. Like, the fat's pretty cheap, especially because you don't need as much of them, and carbs are dirt cheap. Like, a packet of rice, you know, that goes a long way. The rice bubble cereal is also cheap. I mentioned before, potato salad is also cheap. Potatoes in general, they're cheap. But anyway, I'm going on a side tangent. I just figured I'd sprinkle in that juicy bit of info. I heard Lane Norton mention it once. Try and bring it up. I'll try bringing up some proof now. But if not, I guess that's just a juicy bit of history. I'm pretty sure it's correct too, because I don't think I would have remembered something like that just as a myth. Like, I tend to look into this stuff when I hear it. This was years ago. Like, I've forgotten more about nutrition than what a lot of people will know in their lifetime. Okay, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, not their lifetime, but I used to know a lot, and then these little tidbits of info linger in my head. But I'm going on a tangent that I don't need to go on. So yeah, that's my kangaroo meal. Sweet potato, 200 grams. I just chop these up and boil them. Now this 200 grams is after they've been boiled, so they do have some water weight in it, which can be good if you're cutting, because it's technically less calories, because obviously not the whole 200 grams is pure sweet potato. A lot of it's water. Bit annoying when you're bulking, but it's consistent, so I'm going to keep counting it as I'm counting it. I have 1 kiwi. Now I used to have 2, but the reason I cut back to 1 is because I get vitamin C from other sources in my diet as well. So I'm going over the recommended amount. Now, I mean, obviously extra vitamin C is good for you. Another reason, again, same with the yogurt to tuna, is it's a budget reason. Kiwi's getting a bit expensive now. I don't think they're in season. So yeah, I've cut back to just 1. And then I have 2 blocks of dark chocolate. Now dark chocolate's got this dark chocolate that I have is 95% cocoa. If there was 100% cocoa, I'd get that. But yeah, there's so many extra micronutrients in here. I only have 2 blocks. One for a budgetary reason, because these blocks aren't really cheap. When they go on special, they're pretty cheap, but I haven't seen them go on special for a while. But you can stockpile them, so next time I see a special, I might load up. Again, a bit of a budgetary reason. And also, this diet has some elements of my cut into it, which means like some of the reasons I'm having some of these foods was because of calorie reasons. I might look at bumping dark chocolate up for now, but at the moment, I'm just going to stick with the little 2 blocks. So, like 2 of those little miniature blocks inside the chocolate full block itself. So, one of those blocks essentially lasts me about 5 days. Protein powder and milk, that's just your essential protein shake that everyone has. Obviously, protein powder is not essential, but it is the highest quality protein. I may have put a graph up earlier in the video if I can remember. It's basically about the quality of certain proteins. Like, I know protein powders at the top, their score's like 103 or something, I don't know. Eggs are like the next highest, and then a lot of animal products are like rated above 90, and then there are some plant proteins that are ranked a lot lower. But basically, whey protein, one of the highest quality protein sources you can get. It also gives me extra protein that I need in my diet, otherwise I won't hit my rough recommendation of about 180 grams, because 1 pound per body weight, I'm about 180 pounds at the moment. And then obviously you have it with milk. If you're cutting, have it with like a lower fat milk, like light milk or skim milk, almond milk. If you really want to get really low, you can have it with water, although it tastes really bad. Whereas obviously protein shakes taste like a milkshake, depending on which powder you use. But yeah, the generic protein shake, nothing too extravagant here. Now, throughout the day, I'll also sip on some milk. So here, I've got 500 mils of milk that I basically just drink throughout the day. And I'll put a bit of Nesquik in it just so it doesn't taste too bland. I do like the taste of milk, but putting a bit of Nesquik in it makes it quite a bit better. But I don't put too much. So the reason for this is the same as that Eric Bugenhagen video before. The more milk I tend to drink, obviously the more I've seen growth. Like I don't have any like documentation to back that up because I didn't really track absolutely everything, but I just remember the years where I drank a lot more milk in the bulk. It was quite noticeable in the pictures and whatnot. So yeah, there's that. Also, milk, when you drink when you work out the calories you get and the protein you get from milk, it's honestly cheaper to buy milk, pour it into this little bottle, and drink that as opposed to the YoPro milk. So full cream Woolies milk is $3.90 at the moment. It's gone up a fair bit. It used to be like $3, but you know, it's the price increases are to support the farmers, so I'm more than happy to pay that extra amount. But that's not the point. Point is, 160 grams of YoPro yogurt gets you about 16 grams of protein for $2.40. A whole bottle of milk is, it's like pretty close to 100 grams of protein, I'm pretty sure, and that's $3.90. So even if you half that cost, that's $1.95 as opposed to the $2.40 for a tub of yogurt, and you're getting like 4 times the amount of protein all up. That was just some quick math. It might be a bit off, but the point is, it's another budget thing. Now, obviously don't do this if you're in a cut, because the calories aren't, the extra calories you gain from the milk just won't be worth it in your cut. Like, you're going to have to make up the calories somewhere else. So it's easier to just stop drinking the milk or just not drink the milk in the first place if you're cutting. But the extra calories I need in this bulk, it's cheaper and more efficient for me to drink more milk, and it's probably the best other calorie source that I have based on my anecdotal experience. Now, you're seeing sultanas in there. The reason I have sultanas is because it's an easy source of carbs and it's got some fiber in it. Now, I need a bit more fiber during the day. The recommendation's about 10 to 15 grams per 1,000 calories. Now, usually I like getting fiber from like cereals, but it's just impractical given my schedule. Like, I'm always at work or gym for most of the day, and I don't want to have cereal at night because that means you have milk. And whenever I have any sort of fluid within like an hour and a half of bed, I always get up in the middle of the night to pee, and more often than not, I can't get back to sleep. So I try to just have no sort of liquids at all anywhere close to bedtime. So that's why I have sultanas there, and they're just nice to snack on with the milk too. Now for dinner, I actually made a TikTok the other day on my Gainzification TikTok account. I posted it to YouTube and Instagram as well. Like what everyone does these days. I swear there's more TikTok on Instagram than Instagram on Instagram these days, but I digress. And I had a few people. I had one guy telling me it looked rancid, fair point. I had some guy ask how it boosts testosterone. After a chat with him, I realized he was under 18, so it's not like he was very immersed in the industry. I was happy to give him some education on this meal that's coming up. And then I had some other guys, probably another teenager, who was trying to tell me to cut back on the calories and it was unhealthy, and my mate was my mate had more calories during his bulk and I didn't, and it took him longer to cut. I don't think he is aware of how long I've been in this industry or how many dieting phases I've done myself. But that's TikTok. I'm not here to whinge about it. I'm just more so preparing any potential arguments I have for what you're about to see. Yeah, I explained to that guy, like, I know calories and stuff, but, you know, that's not the point. I don't really care. You know, you put stuff out on TikTok, you're going to get comments, especially in the gym space. There are just some... uneducated might be a bit of a harsh word, because it's got a little bit of a demeanor to it. Maybe they're just not aware. They're probably like me when I started. You just have all the pervasive myths that just cloud your judgment. But nonetheless, I'll go into my dinner. Oh, that's right. I mentioned it was my breakfast on my TikTok, but that's because I had the day off. The reason I don't have this for breakfast is because it would require me to wake up earlier, and screw that. So I have, well, what I'll do is I'll cut off about 10 grams of butter and use that as like the cooking ingredient for the pan. You know, people usually put like canola oil or olive oil or extra virgin olive oil, vegetable oil, whatever. I use butter. I'll then put about 100 grams of bacon over the top, and then I'll pour 6 whole eggs on that and then cook it as like an omelette type thing. I will then, I'll have that with about 10 grams of honey, and then I'll have about 80 grams of spinach on the side with that, and that'll be like the dinner. So very high in fat and cholesterol. Now, cholesterol helps testosterone production. Now, it's not going to, you know, make a huge difference. It's not going to turn you into the Hulk or anything, but it does help a little bit. The studies are clear on this, and the studies are also clear that cholesterol is not actually unhealthy for you. The reason people believe that, I used to believe that too, I think it's because of some research done by a guy named Ansel, and I think he did it to fit a government's narrative at the time. Like, it was a whole funding thing. There was something, I think there's a book called The Oiling of America as well, which goes into detail about this. Now, I know that book does exist, but it might be going into another factor unrelated to this whole cholesterol thing. Actually, I think that goes into why vegetable oils are really unhealthy, and so are canola oils. But that's not the point. The point is, the cholesterol is bad for you is based on outdated, flawed research. There are some people who do need to watch it, but for me, I don't really need to watch it at all. I had blood work done in 2020, and I was having even more food than this. Like, I was having a lot more milk. I was having like damn near 5,500 calories a day. It was just made up of so much extra food. My cholesterol levels were like slightly above average after having that for months. And meanwhile, this diet is 2,500 calories less as well. And it doesn't have all the chocolate and all the other excess milk I was having too. The point I'm getting at is, I'm fine. I'm not saying this is perfect for everyone. This is my diet after all. But it's definitely food for thought. Try having high cholesterol products. See, get some blood work, see how it impacts your cholesterol. Do your own research and reading that, you know, cholesterol is not super unhealthy for you. So that's the cholesterol side of things. To be perfectly honest, I'd prefer less fat in my diet so I can make room for more carbs. However, given my current schedule, it's impractical for me to get my 3,000 calories with extra carbs. Like, I don't actually have room in my schedule to eat them unless I can find a way to eat a bowl of cereal while I'm driving. That's a good way to get in a crash and get a fine from the cops when they catch you doing that. But fats are also good for hormone production. I don't know if more fats lead to more hormone production. Actually, I think they do, but the impact is like capped off at a certain point, or it's very diminished returns. But either way, that's some extra food for thought if you're looking at, I guess, increasing calories and you just can't fit extra carbs. Well, do your own research, but I don't think there's too much harm in going higher in fats. So I've just kind of freeballed this one. I don't actually have a script for this one. I normally script, videos, but I didn't really need one for this because I pretty much know what I'm talking about. As I mention all of these, I'll try and fact check it like on screen. I'll like paste some like study or some evidence that what I'm saying is correct. But this obviously isn't nutritional dietary advice. Like as I said, this is my diet. I've done something similar in the past and it's worked pretty well. And it's already working pretty well. Like I've only been on it for about 2 weeks and I swear I'm already seeing some growth. There could just be a placebo. My muscles filling up out of the cut. But my energy levels are a lot higher. That could also just because of higher calories. But anyway, this is my diet and I'll see how this goes. That is all.